This is an absolutely beautiful 2002 Laser Red Mustang GT. Now, Laser Red was an awesome color. They had it all through the 90s for the Mustangs and even to the early 2000s. 2002 was the last year of Laser Red, then they changed it to Red Fire. And so I really like Laser Red. I actually like it better than Red Fire. I really enjoyed looking over the pictures of this car because it is like it's new. This Mustang GT only has 1,300 miles on it. And so you see this car and you can see the condition. It's like a virtual car show to walk around and see what these cars were like new. And this one is completely stock. This one has the dark charcoal interior with the dark charcoal leather seats, and it is an automatic car. And it is just beautiful looking. I love the running pony on the seats that the GTs and even the V6 cars had too. In this generation at least. The earlier SN95s did not have the running ponies on the seats, but these seats are really nice. Over the years, people have complained that they don't have a lot of lateral support, but they are still a very comfortable and nice seat. This is what my Mustang GT has in it. I've had several GTs that have had these seats in them, and I've enjoyed them over the years. And so here's a little more look at the dash and the interior. 6-disc Mach 460 audio in there. And so very good looking car. Most Mustangs of this generation are pretty worn out by today, and it's very rare to find some that are in this good a shape. So it's nice to see them, and it's hard to believe they all started out this way. Something that I always look for when I look at these really low mileage original cars is the 12-volt plug that's in the cigarette lighter. Little plastic one. It's so easy to get lost. People take them out to charge their phone, and these can easily fall down between the seats. Luckily that happens and they're preserved, but a lot of times they fall out of the car, they go inside the house, they get lost. So kind of cool to see. Something else I look for on low mileage cars like this are the keys. Does it have both keys? It looks like in this case it does. Every Mustang came with 2 original keys to the car, and there's a little paper tag there. You can see the X on it. That's pretty cool to see. That's from the factory, and I still have one for my silver '04 GT Mustang. Luckily it was in the owner's manual when I got my car. But looking at the seats, they look very nice. The interior looks good. I prefer the dark charcoal interior. I love just the dark look in the dash. It has some plastic on the carpet there. Not sure if that's the original plastic or if the dealership here has added it or not. But you wonder about a car like this. You know, when I see a car that's been kept like this, to me, the first thing that comes to mind is it was probably owned by an older couple who didn't use it very much. Maybe it was at a second home where they used it during the summers. Just a little bit of just an extra car to have. This is definitely not a daily driver. It's not something somebody drove to college or work every day. It has definitely been preserved. And so I've heard it said that they're only new once. And even if you restored this car, like my brother and I talk about all the time, if you were to buy brand new door panels, brand new dash, brand new seats, like if you could even get those parts, it would cost you so much to restore this car or make it new again, that when you're buying something low mileage like this, you really are getting a lot of value because all the parts on it are new. Those window switches have only been used a handful of times. You know, the seats have only been sat in a handful of times. The doors have only been opened and closed a number of times, so everything in them is still solid and strong. The weather stripping, if the car's been garaged, is all still new. It hasn't been baking out in the sun for years. And so when you see a car like this with such low mileage, it's really nice. You know, you look at the owner's manual, you can just see that you're getting a lot of value because this is something that's been preserved over the years. And it's cool to see in the trunk they had some things like the key for the anti-theft lug nut and, you know, the original dealership license plate thing, it looks like. Here's a little bit of the VIN tag in case somebody ever buys this car and they can look at the VIN number and say, oh yeah, that's mine. You know, it's E9 Laser Red. You know, pretty cool to see. Beautiful shaped car. Still has all the trunk liner and everything in there. Something about the wheels is, since this is a 2002, it was the last year of this color bullet wheel. '01 and '02 had this color and texture bullet wheel. '03, '04 had a darker bullet wheel. And so if you look closely at the color of these bullet wheels, and then we'll compare it to my '04, you can see that the gray is a little darker on the '04 and a little smoother texture. I know it's hard to see, and lighting does a lot of difference, but it's kind of fun because I daily drive basically this exact car. Mine is an automatic, stock, 4.6 liter Mustang GT, and it's basically the same car. So it's really interesting to see this car with low mileage, basically brand new, and know that I'm daily driving the exact same thing, because this one's they're asking, in the $20,000 range for something like this, and it's well deserved. I think it's a beautiful car and it's been well preserved, but it's the same car that I drive every day, and so I think that's kind of interesting to see, and I know exactly what this car is. Looking underneath, you can see the transmission pan has some dark texture on the sides, and that's because if you look, this car's been undercoated. So if you look underneath there, the body color has that black kind of wrinkle look to it, and so the owner of this car had originally gone ahead and paid extra to have undercoating put on it to be preserved, so that's very nice that they had gone through and done that. I noticed my Bullitt Mustang actually has undercoating on it as well. You can see on the exhaust there's a little bit of overspray, and the axle is the main thing there. The axles are usually rust colored on these cars, so the undercoating is blocking that rust color or preserving the axle. Paper tag under the bumper there. You can see how clean it is underneath here. There's not a lot of splatter. It might have been driven in the rain once or twice. Cars like this, I don't think they were preserved to be collector cars. I think this car, I assume, was just something that just wasn't driven very much, and now they have it. Looking under the engine bay is something that I like to do. Look at the zinc color on the bolts, all the hardware for the alternator and the idler pulley there. That's pretty cool to see. That zinc coating usually darkens with heat and time, and so it's still kind of gold coloring. Looks really nice and new under here. Beautiful 4.6 liter. These engines are very, very reliable. And as long as you make sure the spark plugs are torqued to spec and the oil is changed on time and there's always enough coolant in it, these tend to run forever. Yeah, they have some timing chain tensioner guides that wear out and crack with plastic over the years and things, but the car is very well built. There's not the coyote tick and stuff, the typewriter tick that you see in the newer Mustangs and stuff. These engines just have very good longevity, and they're low compression engines, 260 horsepower, so they're not huge power makers, but they're very good for durability and long-lasting engines, so you could buy this car and drive it forever. But beautiful laser red GT badge there. So no, it's not a Cobra, but it's still a V8 Mustang, and it looks really, really good. So you can see the headlights aren't all fogged over. Those Ford original headlights are getting really expensive now, and they're not producing them anymore. You can get aftermarket ones all the time, but it's just beautiful to see something like this that's all original. And again, what's the story behind this car? Was it a company car that somebody bought and they kept at a guest house and let people use it once in a while? Was it a car that was kept in the garage of a cabin on the lake somewhere in a place where they had a second home or a fun place to go visit? It's always interesting to find it out. Like maybe it came from a collection where somebody had a ton of cars. I mean, there are so many possibilities, and so it's just kind of neat to see it like this and see it preserved. But again, I don't think this was kept as a collector car saying this is going to be valuable one day because it's special, because it is a run-of-the-mill GT. And GT with bullet wheels is one of my favorite cars out there, and I just think it's really cool. And this is a great example of a beautiful one that's been preserved. And like I said, every Mustang started out brand new looking like this, and it's hard to believe when you see them all run down or abused over the years that at one point this is what each one of those cars looked like, this nice. So anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and stay tuned for more Mustang content.